Hello. So for today's topic, we're going to talk about ways to engage and empower students with educational technology. So the reason I am so passionate about technology is because it can help engage students in your lesson. I am Stephanie Howell, and you can find me on Twitter at Mrs. Howell24. So I want to go over why and how I got into technology. So I first started with this passion in high school. So I was a sophomore in high school in 2006, and I would go to gym class, and there were students with different disabilities that would come into our gym class to gain social interaction with other students. And this is Chucky. So Chucky is the reason why I got into education. Before Chucky, I would have not gone into education. I wouldn't have thought it was for me. But this relationship that I built with Chucky helped me find my passion, and it also made me realize that I love working with students with disabilities. So I decided to go to school, and I went to school for special education, and I also got an early childhood degree, and I applied for Pickerington Local School District, where I currently work, as a 5th grade intervention specialist, and I got my first job in 2014. I loved being an inclusion teacher. It was difficult because I always thought if you're able to get the students that have disabilities to enjoy school and want to come, you can get anybody to learn. So I started off with teaching intervention, and I was in an inclusion classroom. So that meant I went into the classroom and I worked with our co-teacher, and we would co-teach different lessons together. And then I would pull students out during our E&I time, which is our enrichment and intervention time, and I would work on those IEP goals. I was also getting Orton Gillian trained at this time, so I would work on basic reading with a lot of students and working on that basic reading and helping them learn. After Christmas break, I was kind of getting bored of teaching. I didn't feel like I was making an impact like I could have. And so I decided, let's try technology. So over Christmas break, I heard about this thing called Google Classroom. And I was like, okay, let's just try it. Once a week on Fridays, I have a writing group for my, to meet my IEP minutes. So these students were working on writing. They hated coming to me. I hated teaching it because they just struggled so much with it. And so I decided, let's try using Google Classroom with the iPads and the computers that I have with the students just on Friday. So in 2015, it was like right after Christmas break of my first year of teaching, we decided these students were not only writing more and more, but they were excited to now come to my class on Fridays, which made me super excited. So these students, their writing got better because they weren't having to write by hand. They were stressed out, most of these students, because they were dyslexic by their spelling, and they're unable to understand what they were spelling. So this technology allowed them to have the computer read back their text so they could hear their mistakes. It allowed them to grow more independence than I ever thought was possible. After seeing this transformation, I knew technology was going to be huge with my students. And so then in the next year, in 2016, we had just an iPad cart that we had to share with our team. And I would kind of steal the iPad cart every single day. And then the following year in the next year, we were able to we went one-to-one with our devices. And it was very awesome to see because the students had their device all single day. So we were no longer having to fight over iPad cards or try to explain why I needed them. We were able just to use them. And then in 2017, I was offered the position as an instructional technology coordinator. So I work with 3 middle schools currently, and we focus on how can technology enhance the curriculum. So we always focus on what is the lesson goals and how can technology support that. And I have an awesome team. I really love my team. I love where I work. And I feel like we are using technology in all the right ways. So in 2018, we won ISTE's Distinguished District. and that was an awesome experience to go to ISTE, my first ISTE, and to accept this award. And then in 2019, I was named the PLSD Innovator of the Award, and then I was also WSU's Outstanding Leadership Award. And I also became a Google Innovator. So that is why my video today is recorded, because I am just getting back from the Google Innovator Conference. So I really wish I could have been there live in person, but I will have to wait until next year because currently I am on a plane flying back to Ohio from Sydney, Australia. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first way that I love to engage students is this would you rather idea. So students get to decide between two different things. So this is focusing on the 4 C's, the collaboration, communication, the creativity, and the critical thinking. Students have to focus on one of those C's or multiple of those C's to complete a topic. So before we would use choice boards, and to be honest with a 5th and 6th grade student, that can be very overwhelming. So this just quick would you rather choice boards allows students to quickly decide which one they would rather do. So would you rather create a screencast or an infographic on fractions that have uncommon denominators? I don't care which way the students pick as long as they're choosing which one they rather do. Some students are going to go towards the video because they hate creating a graphic. Other students are going to go after that graphic because they hate seeing themselves on video or hearing their voice on video. And there's tons of different examples. As I think of ideas, they just get added to the slide deck. And so there are there's over 40 ideas in this slide deck. And in some of them, there are student examples. So here's like a podcast example. Here's an example with immediate feedback for students. So there's just different examples of when we have done this with students, and I keep trying to add as I remember and as I get student work examples to be added to this document. So please feel free to steal and use this idea. Our students really love this idea. A lot of them have picked the infographics just because they love it. And all you have to do, like say you wanted, what are 3 things you learned, 2 questions you have, and 1 thing that surprised you? You can take this and you can add it to another slide. So maybe you want them to create a Buncee or pick between that question. You can do vice versa with these different would you rather activities. The second activity I really love is Iron Chef. So Iron Chef is an edu protocol. And if you have not read the book, Edu Protocols, you need to read it. It is fantastic, and I really suggest you look over it. So on this website, it's my blog, and I've got examples of students working on this project. So what we did is students are learning about civil rights for their upcoming ELA unit. So they had 20 minutes to create a presentation. So I gave the students a presentation here. They could pretty much put anything they wanted. They could use Google, they could use YouTube, any way they wanted to learn this material. I just was not going to be up in the room teaching them. So here's an example. Once they got started, we gave them some secret ingredients. So for this slide, they had to incorporate a YouTube video. So they had to put a video about civil rights on this slide. The next slide, they had to do a GIF. Or they could create a Google drawing image about civil rights. So they had to add stuff to civil rights, and then they had to add their GIF. On this one, they had to do 3 bullet points. So as you can see, they've got their bullet points. On this one, they had to explain 3 different vocabulary words that they might not have known. And then we asked them to do a picture of their group. And students love doing this, and then they had to record on Flipgrid. So Iron Chefs allows the students to explore. I love this for pre-teaching, so that way they're learning the material on their own. I also like this for reteaching at the end of a unit. Okay, what's everything that you learned? You got 15 minutes to do an Iron Chef. Here's your secret ingredients. Here is the slide. Get going. It's a really awesome experience for students. The Frere model is another exciting one. So on this one, I have also stolen So what students will do is they work in groups, or you have them work individually. They put the topic, their definition, they add images, examples, and 3 sentences. Again, this you could have done without technology. However, adding technology enhances this lesson because students are able to add images from Google, the Explore tool, or Google. Students can add a video to help them understand. They can add GIFs, whatever the students need to do. Also, they can work collaboratively in this and see other students' examples of their vocabulary word or the topic. The fourth one is guess who or guess what. And this one is I've also stole, and all the people that I did steal, their Twitter is on the Google slide. So feel free to follow them because they are fantastic. So this is just a fun game. It's a guess who game. You add different people. You could also do the guess what game and add different places. And then students ask each other questions and they eliminate their person or where to figure out what they are doing. Clue is another also fun game. So Clue is a game that I created with Google Forms. So on here, you'll want to watch the whole video because it is kind of difficult to make your first Clue game because you have to think backwards. However, it is easy once you get the hang of it. It's just that first time, there's a lot of, let me make sure I did this correct. So what students will do is they answer different Clue questions. So students will go around the room and answer these different questions. Once they have the questions correct, they're going to open up a Google form. And on the Google form, they're going to say if the answer is C. Oh, let me go to preview. If the answer is C, they will cross off Mr. Maroon in the auditorium. So students are given an answer sheet that looks like this, and they cross off Mr. Maroon in the auditorium. Until once the game's done, students will have one person, one place, and one thing left to know if they had their answers correct. There is the way to play short answer. A lot of my teachers like the multiple choice better because it adds more suspicion to the game, where the short answer, they get immediate feedback. And how I set this up is with short answer, I use data validation in the Google form. With multiple choice, you can decide if you want to give the answers right away at the end, or you can wait until the next day. It all depends on your students. I've got some classes that have to wait until the next day because if they do not, those students will tell the other classes. And so some students have to wait until the very end. And again, on this website, there's a video. It's like 20 some minutes long because it is a lot to explain. But once you create your first game and play it with students, your other one becomes a lot easier. And we've got some examples here, like our guidance counselor, who's fantastic, made something for Say Something Week. We also have one for digital citizenship. There's 2 of those for digital citizenship. So again, very awesome game. Another favorite one that I love is by Matt Miller, and it's walking tours. So on walking tours, students go into the place. So we have used this with like different books. We've used it for different places in social studies, science, and students just use Street View, and you can see they're talking as they're going into the different places, and they're using Screencastify to explain it. Taking the students there, I really believe, helps them memorize and learn the material a lot better at a deeper level. And you can just see they can look around, they can explain, and they're doing this all in a screencast to explain what they're learning. And so here was an example of one of my students that made one. Feel free to watch it. Another favorite is podcasts, getting the students to use their voice. Podcasts, a lot of students think are easy, but they're not. So students have to write show notes, and then it took me a little while to figure out how to create a podcast. So if you do need help, feel free to reach out to me. But students will record their voice in video, and then they send me the recording, and I upload it to Podbeam, and then I sync it with iTunes. So then students' podcast is right on iTunes for their parents or other community members to listen. And again, I make the students write out show notes because I tell them if someone's driving or working out, they don't have time to write down what you're saying. So we have to write down just quick notes about what you're talking about. We also had to do artwork, which takes a lot more time too. And then the students are here working together on their podcasts. Podcasts require a lot of hard work because people can't see it, so they have to use their voice to explain everything. Breakout EDU is another engaging activity that works on that critical thinking. So students work in groups and they have 20 some minutes and they have to break out. So they'll use different clues around the room and then they have to break out of this Google form. So I love using Google form because I use data validation, and if it's wrong, it turns green. They have to get it right in order to submit the Google form. So that immediate feedback, they know right away if they have that clue right or wrong. So students are going around the room and solving different puzzles around the room. Like this one was a different lock. This one, they're working together. I like to do some digital, some on paper. And the students really have to work as a team. And then another favorite one for gym class that we've done is gifts. I mean, this could be done for any class, but I thought it was really cool that my gym teacher did this. So he had his students create gifts for gym class, and you can see some more in this Wakelet. But he told them to just record, and then they uploaded it, and then they did like a heart healthy month. And the classroom teachers would show this, and the students would work out with the gift videos. And then we also sent it home so parents could do the exercises with their students. And then writing templates. So this was a choice board. I've stolen a lot of these from other people, and you can get their information when you click on. But just giving students different creativities for them to write. So either letting them choose too. So here's a journal you could write. Here's a Scholastic News. Different things that students could pick. They could also do an Instagram post or a Facebook post. Allowing student choice will help you in the long run. So now it's your turn. I would love to see all the ideas that you have. And I shared this spreadsheet, and you will have editing access. So please let me know what you have to share. So again, I put all the resources into this Google Sheet, and just begin to add yours on line 13 and below. So that way we can collaborate. I wish I could have been there in person, but again, I'm flying home from Australia. So I cannot wait to get home to see what has been added to this spreadsheet, because I know a ton of us have a ton of templates or ideas on how we can engage students. And we are better when we think together. And if you have any questions, I have opinions. I do not have answers, but you can either find me at Ms. Howe24 or Stephanie, STEPHANIE _Howe, HOWELL at plsd.us. And I'm going to type that in here too. And feel free to email me with any questions or thoughts or ideas that you have. I love collaborating with other people, so please reach out to me. All right, I hope you are enjoying Mad PD 2019. I know I have, and I cannot wait to get home so I can watch all these awesome videos and see how everybody responded. Again, if you need anything, please reach out to me.